Hey, what's up guys? Today I'm going to be kicking this episode off by tearing into the steering column on the Caddy. The bearing on the steering shaft has fallen down, which is a pretty common issue on these things. We're going to be taking care of that. I've got a spare steering column steering wheel behind me. I may rop some parts off of. I know I'm going to pull the key switch mechanism out of, because the truck, the key is broken in half and it still somehow works, but it only works one way, so it's kind of finicky. So I'm going to take care of that while I'm in there. I've got the upgraded bearing kit from Mark 1 Engineering I'm going to be throwing into this thing at the same time, and then I'm going to be swapping out the steering wheel too, because as soon as this little project is finished up, I'm going to be moving on to changing up the suspension, which I've got parts ordered. They should be here this week. Hopefully I'll get that knocked out so I can do an alignment after I get all the suspension done. So let's get to work. All right, there's this piece. So you can see, got half a key. It still works somehow, but we're gonna get that fixed up. So I thought about not replacing this piece because it looked like it would be a little difficult to get off, but the more I looked at it, I could tell that the inside was really starting to break down, and that's part of the problem when the bearing falls apart. Is all of these plastics and things like that just start to break down. So the kit that I got came with a new one, so I was able to knock this off with a hammer, and I'll try and get the new one back on, get the new bearing pressed into the tube, and grease everything up real well, and then put it all back together. Well, that ended up being a little bit more of a challenge than I thought that it was going to be. It was a little harder to get on there than it was to take the old one off, mostly because the old one was old and rotten, of course. But you have to be careful when tapping things onto these drive shafts, because they're collapsible. You can see this little piece of metal here. Of course, that's there if you're ever in a front end collision. It keeps the steering shaft from going through your face, which is, you know, a good thing. So what I did was I took this 1/4 inch extension that's really long. It's not really proper use of this tool, but it worked. Stick it up through the bottom of the shaft. That way I had direct contact onto this shaft. I used a block of wood around the inner bearing piece here, and then tapped it right down onto the shaft. Once it was good and straight on there, it went on perfectly fine. So the new piece is on here, and I'm going to put it back together. Well, it worked for a little while last night on trying to get the bearing put into the tube, but it just wasn't having much luck with the tools that I had on hand. So I ran to the hardware store, picked up this piece of all thread and some bolts and a couple of these big fender washers to run down through the tube, and then tighten the bolts down on either end to try and, you know, sink that bearing up into the tube. So we'll see how it goes. The weather's not really cooperating with me today, but we'll do what we can. So that takes care of the steering shaft. Next up is this housing for the key switch. Top bearing, we'll put some more grease. Top bearing, of course. We'll take the key that I pulled out of the other column, put it in here. I've got a brand new ignition switch. I'm going to be sticking in here as well. And I've also had some connectivity issues with the turn signals, so I'm going to take that all apart, clean it up while I've got it out of here, and then we should be ready to go back together. So for the front, we're going with these solo work coilovers and raised strut bearings from S&P Automotive. They're pretty popular these days. I've read a lot of reviews about these solo work coilovers. A lot of people say that they don't ride terrible to be a affordable coilover. So we're going to throw these on here and see how it turns out. I got the rear leaves pulled all the way out to swap out the bushings while I'm back here doing stuff. I got these new polyurethane bushings from 4Crawler. I had to press out the front bushing to press the new one in, and these other ones are a two-piece bushing that slide in from either side. So I'm going to get these put into the leaf springs, get the leaf springs put back in. That way I'm ready to throw in the axle flip kit that I got from caddypan.com. And once that's done, I'm going to throw on the new air shocks that I've got for the back of this thing, get the wheels on, and then start working on roughing in the setup for the front. I'm going to try and do a rough alignment to get me into an alignment shop, get the ride height set for the front, that kind of stuff. So let's keep moving. Got the rear beam finished up last night. I'm back out here today. I'm going to do a little bit of fender work all the way around, do a little bit of rolling so I don't destroy these brand new tires. I'm going to do a little bit of adjustment for the ride height in the front, make sure everything's good and tightened down, try and rough in some sort of alignment so I can at least get it to the alignment shop before next week when we're rolling out to Alpine Volks Fair. I gotta say, I'm pretty stoked about how it's turning out. It's looking really great, so I'm ready to get this thing finished up. Well, I got the alignment roughed in with the tape for the toe. I set the camber the same on both sides. I know it's probably nowhere near close, but it'll be good enough to get me to the alignment shop. I'm going to try and do that maybe late this week, early next week. But I think that's going to do it. I've checked everything down. Everything's good to go. Everything's tight. So I'm going to put it down on the ground and we'll see what it looks like off of these wheel cradles. Alright guys, I think I'm going to call the episode here. I went and got the truck aligned. Big shout out to Eurofed and Buckhead. I was able to get the truck up there and they got it up on the rack and got it squared up. No problem at all. So I took a little video of them putting it up on the rack. I may stick that in right here. And now I've got the truck all cleaned up. I threw my camper top on there that's got the blue stripe. I think it turned out pretty good overall. I think I'm satisfied with the overall outcome. Got a few little bugs to work out still, but we'll save that for next time. May try and get this video edited and up on the internet before we leave out for Helen, which is coming up really fast. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.